Yay. Okay, hi there. This is Elaina Love here, and I'm here with Caitlin Louise.
Hi.
And we're going to talk to you guys today about the keto diet and doing it in a green way, a deep dive into the keto green lifestyle and what makes it different than a regular keto diet and some pitfalls to look out for and a lot of the benefits of a ketogenic lifestyle. And when you combine ketogenic with high plant-based diet, doesn't mean 100%, but a high plant-based diet, the combination can become magic. We've had so many amazing testimonials of people that have just done our program for a couple months and huge benefits. So that's why we want to do this video today, to share with you guys some of the benefits you might be able to experience and to just kind of inspire you to give it a try.
Yeah, definitely. And I kind of want to kick it off with one of the latest sort of testimonials that we just received from one of our online programs, which focuses completely on what we're going to talk about today, all about green keto, all about a healthy lifestyle. And this is from one of our campers, and she said, "Ladies, this is going to blow your mind. I started this program in April because my LDL was super high at 237, and a normal range is about 157, just so you know. And this is after doing a meat keto diet for over a year. She started the Love Camp in April, and now it's July, and she's beyond ecstatic to share that her level is now at 106, which is in like a very, very healthy range. And she loves us and the program and all the hard work. So that is just one of many, and we just love doing this work, and we continue just upgrading this program and bringing it to more and more women because of the results that we're getting.
Yeah. I mean, I love it when I read those too. I'll see them on Facebook on our private group that we share with all of our keto course takers. But if you're just kind of wondering what is ketosis, and this might be new to you, maybe you've Googled ketosis and we popped up. So if you did do that and you found us, guess what? You really got lucky, because I have experimented with all kinds of diets over the last 21 or more years. And this program, and I don't want to call it a diet, but this lifestyle is just my 20 years of accumulation of experience and Caitlin's over 10 years of healing her body experience. And so basically what ketosis is a state where the body has switched from burning glucose for fuel, which means like if you're eating sugar and carbs and fruit and grains, and then it begins to burn ketones from fat. So you go into fat burning mode. So it's basically either you're a sugar burner where you have to eat every couple hours, or you get lightheaded, or you get hypoglycemic, or on and on and on. Or you go into fat burning mode where you can go hours without eating, eat less, feel better, lose weight. And so what happens is your body just starts burning its own fat for fuel. And even if you're someone that's slender and you don't have a lot of fat to lose, say, or any, your body will also take the fat from your organs, from any visceral fat around your organs. And there's also a lot of other benefits from being in ketosis. Weight loss is just one, because once you get to your perfect weight, you're not going to want to stop doing the ketogenic diet. It's just that that's one of the side bonuses, but that's not really the reason why people do a ketogenic diet. In fact, the original reason they came up with the ketogenic diet is because kids with epilepsy back in the 1920s, they were actually able to start healing the epileptic seizures by putting kids on a high fat, low carbohydrate diet, which is basically what this is. And then we just throw in our special flair of lots of alkalizing green foods, super healthy. So let's talk a little bit, Caitlin, about the Pure Joy holistic approach.
So the one reason why we created this program too is because, as many of you know, keto is framed as a very high animal protein, high animal fat diet, and it can be very acidic for the body. So instead of using those animal proteins for our fuel to get us into ketosis and those animal fats, we're actually using just completely plant-based green food ingredients, and we add in things like herbs and medicinal mushrooms like reishi and chaga, and just a lot of other blood sugar reducing ingredients.
Yeah, and so that'll help you maintain a healthy blood sugar and just feel that feeling that you feel when you get lightheaded because you haven't eaten, or you feel like you're going to crash or pass out, is because you're running on glucose. And so what this is doing is helping you switch over into a different mode. So the other benefit that people experience, usually it's like a week or two to kind of get into ketosis. And then, that part can be a little bit just, switching up your diet can always be a little interesting. But then once you get through to the other side, you experience this amazing mental clarity because the brain loves ketones. Our brain can actually run on ketones. And so the ketones increase the number of mitochondria, which is also known as like your energy factories in your cells, especially in your brain cells, but actually in all your cells of your body. You'll notice it the most in your brain. So it can be therapeutically used in many other neurological disorders, including headache, neurodegenerative diseases, sleep disorders, bipolar disorder, autism, and brain cancer, as well as, like I mentioned before, the epileptic seizures.
Mm-hmm.
So next is brain fog.
Yeah, and I just want to point on that mental clarity piece because we really are trying to move away from the weight loss piece and focus on all the other benefits. And I think the reason why so many men are on a ketogenic diet and so many older people, there's a lot of doctors studying this for older people, is because of the neural inflammation that ketogenic diet can reduce. So neuroinflammation is just another type of inflammation in the body that is caused by eating a lot of high carb, high sugar foods. And so when we get rid of those high carb, high sugar foods, we can actually reduce that neural inflammation, which is just basically our brain pushing against our head. And that's what brain fog is, essentially.
Isn't that so interesting? I was just listening to something where people that go up to Mount Everest, their brain begins to swell when they're at altitude for too long. And it actually, when the brain starts to swell, what happens is it starts to ooze down into the spinal column. So I thought about that because every time I eat high carb foods, especially something like, I think I'm being good eating like a gluten-free pastry or, pizza, which I haven't done in a long time, but recently I did have some gluten-free pizza and immediately my neck went out, which is all the inflammation that comes from your head and goes in your spine. Of course, you wake up feeling like you have a hangover. Now, if you're regularly eating breads and pastries and you think, oh, I don't need to get rid of that, wait to see how much more clarity you can have. A lot of people are just used to waking up feeling a little bit groggy. And I've actually had people tell me, man, you have a lot of energy in the morning, almost like it's too much for them. So I usually really watch it when I'm around other people. But that's only because I wake up feeling super good. And so people think that's normal to wake up and have to have coffee to feel good, but it's not. And a lot of it has to do with this inflammation in the brain.
Yeah, and I think we focus a lot on body inflammation, like people who have chronic inflammation, joint pain, stiff muscles, puffy fingers, puffy feet, water retention, but we never really think about the brain. Like we just associate inflammation with parts of the body. And chronic neural inflammation is actually what can be linked to some of these brain disorders, and this mental fog that then turns into losing your short-term memory, not being able to remember names, and it's just like this downward spiral. So really, I think one of the biggest benefits of being on a ketogenic diet is this neural inflammation, anti-inflammation.
Yeah, I just keep finding it. I know you do too, Caitlin. We talk about it so much, but I just find it so fascinating. And I mean, the books have been coming out over the years. Like Brainmaker happens to be one of them that's sitting on my bookshelf right now. And Dr. David Perlmutter talks so much about how grains, specifically because they're a high carbohydrate food, causes so much inflammation in the brain. And like, when you have that word on the tip of your tongue and you just can't think of it, you just can't think of it, or you can't even think of like what the word is for something. A lot of times if you check in and you notice the night before, oh, I had a bunch of carbs, or I had a glass of wine, or I had beer, which are all really high carb, that really will affect your brain, and it can last for up to 3 to 4 days. And the reason we're covering this so much before we get into the other benefits of ketosis is because if you don't have brain power and you don't have mental clarity and you don't feel good in the morning when you get up and you're not feeling good all day long and your body feels achy and painy and crampy, you're not really going to live the best life you want to live. And so that's why we're really emphasizing so much that it starts with the brain. It starts with how you're feeling and your just overall sense of well-being.
Exactly. And the other benefit just on the brain topic is something called neurogenesis. And that's actually something that stimulates new brain cells. So we're not only just reducing the inflammation in the brain, we're actually stimulating more growth in the brain, because ketones, which are produced from the fat that we receive when we're in a ketogenic state, that is like pure fuel for the brain. The brain loves ketones.
Yep. And so basically you're getting a bigger brain, which means, I don't know, maybe there's scientific testing that you could be getting smarter. I know for me, I'm 54 now, and I can definitely say that my mind is super sharp. Caitlin, you know this. We'll get on the phone and we'll just spout all these different ideas we have, and we're just so excited about things. And I didn't used to have that experience even when I was a raw foodist, because I was eating a lot of fruit and a lot of, higher carb, quote unquote, raw food desserts that, back then we were even using agave, which is one of the worst sweeteners in the world. We'll save that for another video. But yeah, so just, it's amazing how you can actually get smarter or get where your brain is just working so amazing you can't even believe it. Because when I look back on my life, I'm like, wow, I'm so much sharper now than I ever was. And that's not supposed to happen as you age. According to mainstream world, they're like, oh yeah, as you age, you just forget stuff. And I pride myself on remembering people's names and remembering things, remembering stories. So I could go on and on about that.
And it's not just for getting older. I mean, I know people in their 20s who are experiencing memory loss and not being able to remember how to spell words, and just it goes on and on. So it's happening younger and younger. And I think this is just like a way to protect us for the future, no matter what age you are.
Yeah, oh, I totally agree. And then Candida is another big part of the ketogenic diet, getting rid of Candida. Now, maybe some of you haven't heard of it. I've talked about it several times in a lot of my videos and introductions, and I even did a podcast about it. But in a nutshell, our specific diet, not just a regular keto diet because there's so many acidic meats in it, but a high plant-based ketogenic diet that's focusing on greens and healthy superfoods and the ingredients we use in our program. It actually doesn't feed yeast, mold, fungus, and candida in your body. And those also contribute to brain fog, yeast infections, bloating, irritability, skin outbreaks. I used to get really bad eczema and just acne on the face. And all of that disappeared when I got rid of all the sugars and carbs in my diet. And then with the keto diet, that's even more focused in, because not only are you eliminating foods that feed candida, but you're focusing in on just the super foods and the concentrated nutrition, because nutrition is super important. And when your body is functioning well, the candida, there's no place for it to live when you're not putting sugar and grains and dairy into your body. And that's another one we didn't mention, but we also eliminate dairy in this program because dairy can be very mucus forming, and it can also cause brain fog, and it's just inflammatory, especially cooked cow dairy. Some people like to enjoy some other different kinds of cheeses, but for the most part, we really emphasize not having dairy in your diet.
Yeah, and it's so easy when you have delicious dairy alternative milks and cheeses and pizzas. It's just, you'll never miss it again.
Yeah, and on that note too, people always say, well, I'm going to miss, okay, the biggest one I hear is I could never go without bread. I could never go without cheese. Well, guess what? You don't have to, because we make the most amazing killer keto bread. I just came up today with a brand new rosemary panini wrapper, or whatever you want to call it, like a little, not quite a tortilla, but like a wrapper that you could wrap around food and you can put it in your panini maker. And we have what I call a corny tortilla that's made with turmeric, and it's all grain free. And so, you don't have to live without it. We also make our own cheeses really quickly with nuts and seeds and some yummy seasonings that when you blend that up and dry it out, it tastes just like cheese or very close to it. So we're not ever about deprivation. We love to empower people to just feel good, but eat the foods that are going to heal their body versus take their health away.
Yeah, exactly. And just foods that overall reduce inflammation, because I think that's, we've touched on it a lot already, but it is one of the biggest benefits of this, is because when we're eating so much glucose, it can actually create toxic byproducts in our body, which is what causes the joint pain and some of these other inflammation issues. And we just hosted a retreat in Mount Shasta, and I think one of the biggest takeaways for me was one of our guests, she has chronic knee pain, and she had tried a meat keto diet a little bit. She was pretty new. And by day 3, she was coming into the kitchen and just ecstatic that she woke up and she could get out of bed without knee pain. And I think that's just a huge testament to getting really alkaline and adding in the green keto foods.
Yeah, and just one more note on that, because I know you, like you said, we've covered it a lot already, but I cannot emphasize enough how I've specifically noticed eating inflammatory foods, my neck going out. I never really need a chiropractic adjustment anymore. But if I eat grains or if I eat something that's inflammatory, you better believe I'll wake up in the morning with a neck crick, or my back will start hurting again. And so, whoosh, if that's not proof enough, people think it's just in the joints, but like we said, it's in the brain. There's so many different ways that inflammation can show up. And as soon as you start getting rid of it by eliminating the foods that cause it, it's like you become a brand new person again. You're like leaping for joy.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to touch a little bit on hormones too, because, we're very much immersed in the health world, and there's a lot of men and men doctors talking about keto and the benefits, but there's not a lot of women talking about this. And Elaina, I want you to touch on the menopause piece for you and what we've discovered with a lot of our clients as far as how a ketogenic diet can help with some of those symptoms.
Well, yeah, because my theory, and this has really worked super well for me, is that a lot of the hot flashes and night sweats that menopausal women start experiencing in maybe their late 40s, and it can go all the way through. I still know some women in their 60s that are still experiencing menopausal symptoms. And my theory is that a lot of that has to do with the inflammatory foods that we're eating, including red wine, causing inflammation and causing an overabundance of heat in the body. So I did personal experimentation by fasting, which we encourage during our ketogenic course. And that could even be just something like 16 hours, 3 days a week. It doesn't have to be like a long fast. And in fact, that can be stressful to some people that are maybe, PMSing, or if they're in a state of hormonal imbalance, we might not want them to fast. But just doing the ketogenic diet, eliminating the inflammatory foods, and eating these super nutritious foods, again, I keep saying the same thing, but it all contributes to the healing and balancing of the hormonal system. Hormones are the things that run all of this. The reason we get all these symptoms, whether it's breakouts or PMS or menopause or all the menopausal symptoms women experience with the bloating and the large breasts. And that happened to me too. And as soon as I really got dove deep into the ketogenic, because I was kind of dancing around it, and a lot of people say, oh, well, maybe I'll just go low carb. That'll help. Well, I was kind of doing that. Like, I wasn't eating a lot of carbs, but I was sneaking in like goji berries or putting fruit in my smoothies, thinking, oh, some berries aren't going to hurt. But as soon as I got serious, and that's really what we are talking to you guys today about, whether or not you do our program, if you want to do a ketogenic diet, you can't just be 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You got to commit, because that's when you see the most benefits. Like committing to eliminating gluten completely, or grains completely, including the Sunday first communion, or not first communion, but the communion at church. Even that little bit of gluten on Sundays can have a huge influence on your health. So that's what I did, is because I've been doing this really clean diet for years, but then, you start to get a little bit like, oh, I'll just have a little bit of this. It's not going to hurt. But before I knew it, I was experiencing all those menopausal symptoms. So as soon as I just went back to, I'm going to be on keto, I'm going to be strict, I'm going to eat my healthy plant-based foods, the symptoms pretty much disappeared. Now, that's not to say I don't every once in a while still get like a surge of heating, but I don't get the night sweats and I don't get the hot flashes, and I'm only 54, so I should be right in the middle of menopause, and I'm not experiencing those symptoms at all. And I know I can control it, because if I have wine, I instantly get the heat coming in, and I'll be opening doors and the prickles will be all over my skin. So it's just amazing to see how we can control symptoms with diet.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And for women who are still menstruating, it can be a really good tool to have too. I know there's an epidemic of women coming out with PCOS, or it's called polycystic ovarian syndrome, or endometriosis, and these are all linked to insulin resistance. So meaning that you have too much insulin surging through your body, and it's causing hormonal imbalances for one, and inflammation and weight gain and all of these other things. And so women who are going on the ketogenic diet and finding huge relief from that too. So if that's you or you're experiencing anything like that, it might be something to look into.
Yeah, we love it for that. And we've helped a lot of people with that as well. And then the other thing is, you might probably be thinking a little bit about cravings. Like, well, what do I do if I have cravings? The great thing about getting on the ketogenic diet, and yes, of course, the first week or two can be the hardest, but with most what you would call diets, what happens is people get on this strict diet, they do it, but they have the cravings the whole time. So as soon as they lose their 10 pounds, 20 pounds, all the cravings are still there, and they come right back, and the people gain the same amount of weight they lost plus another 10 pounds. So the great thing about ketogenic is, Caitlin, you and I've talked and thrilled about this more than once, is your cravings completely reduce. Like if you stop eating sugar and stop, not just sugar, but carbohydrates. So people think sugar is like, oh, I don't eat sugar, but then you see them eating pastries or you see them eating grains, and like that's sugar too. And white potatoes are sugar and French fries are sugar. So when we get rid of those foods and we really focus on these healthy, amazing, super delicious foods that we give you, you just don't even have the cravings anymore. Like I really honestly, like I just ate lunch recently today and I don't crave anything sweet after I eat. I'm just really satisfied. And at night, if I want to eat something, if I feel snacky, I don't go for something sweet. One, because I don't have it in my house, but two, I don't crave it. I just like, oh, a handful of almonds is plenty for me, which is a total yummy fat that's really satisfying and nourishing. So it'll be amazing to you to see how you can walk, like you and I talk about this a lot, Caitlin. You walk into a place like Starbucks or, a bread shop, and you're like, that doesn't even look like food anymore. Like pretzels, meh. Cinnamon rolls, Cinnabon at the mall doesn't tempt me. I'm like, oh, that cinnamon smells good. Keep moving. I don't even, for one even second, think, oh, I wish I could have that, or oh, I feel deprived. It doesn't. It's not even part of my consciousness anymore. And you're talking to someone who had an eating disorder, who I was like, I would binge on sweets and I would just eat till the cookie box was gone and till the chip bag was gone. And I don't have that. I don't even crave that stuff. If I start eating cookies, you better believe that I'm probably going to eat the whole package. So I just don't eat them, but I don't crave them. So this is just like, to me, it's a miracle because as we know, there's even books written about that willpower doesn't work. So why use willpower when you can just get on the ketogenic diet and your body just stops asking for it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's maybe seems like a huge feat to someone who has really bad cravings. And I know so many people who would look at you and say, never, not me. I love sugar way too much, could never give it up. Or my sugar cravings are debilitating. And how many times have we heard that in the Love Camp? Seriously, that is like the side effect that nobody expected. Like, whoa, I was at this party and there was all these pastries and I didn't even want them. Like, who am I? I'm a changed person. And I think it goes back to that Candida consciousness that we're talking about. When you reduce all that processed sugar in your gut microbiome actually changes and it's actually going to start craving the good thing. So like Elaina said, it could take a couple weeks and it could get bad before it gets better, but it's like total freedom, like not needing to have the sugar. I actually get headaches now from it. I don't even want it. If there's a little bit of sugar in something, it's just like, it's not the high that I want to get. So it's an amazing benefit.
Yeah, I mean, we could just go on and on about that. But the other thing about eating this way is that you become more alkaline, and an alkaline body is a healthy, disease-free body. In lab tests, they have an alkaline test cells, or like a heart or whatever that's beating, and it cannot die, and it will keep beating as long as they keep it alkaline. But as soon as they start introducing acidity to it, it will stop and it will become diseased. So it's amazing that when our body is alkaline, we feel good, we feel pure joy, which is why our company is called Pure Joy. It has all to do with eating an alkaline diet, because that's what I experienced when I first started eating a raw food diet. Is like, wow, I feel happy and joyful all the time. And so also, like, you won't be getting the, if you're a certain person that gets a lot of the UTIs, or you get like a lot of acidic conditions, or you get colds 4 times a year, people think that's normal. It's not. And when you get into this way of eating, that's another bonus, is you don't have to go to the doctor anymore because you feel good all the time. Cancer cannot live in an alkaline environment. So you're pretty much setting yourself up to live a long, healthy life if you get into an alkalizing ketogenic diet. And remember, we said at the beginning, all ketogenic diets are not the same. And there's a couple kinds. One is just the mainstream kind where you eat a ton of meat. And that's probably what people call the junk food keto, where people are going to places like McDonald's and they're throwing away the bun and they're like, I'm keto, or they're eating pork rinds, or they're eating super unhealthy foods. And that is the worst kind of ketogenic diet. But then there's another kind of ketogenic diet where people are still eating a lot of bacon and tons of animal fat, and it's just not necessary. Now, am I saying that you should never eat any animal products? Absolutely not. I think that when they're humanely treated, and some people need it to balance their hormones, and there can be really benefits to adding some pasture-raised eggs or some super high-quality bone broth or different products like that. We're not all about dogma. We're just saying eat a high plant-based, alkalizing diet and watch yourself become a brand new person, disease-free, get rid of cellulite, feel better, look better, be more shiny, have more confidence, and just be a better person in the world. Like be a kinder, more loving person too. It just opens up your heart.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I was just thinking, I'm going to post the link. We have a blog post on our green keto foods, or the favorite foods that we like, and a couple of free recipes. So if you're interested, just click the link below. I'll have that in there. But maybe we should dive into some of those foods. Like, what is the green keto diet? What is it that we're feeding our clients and ourselves every day?
Okay, let's find that list. Well, we can just start by, just saying, yes, in our courses, we promote plant-based. It's not 100% vegan, just lots of plants. But for the first month, we do like people to eat all plants. Why? Because your body needs to reset and get off those unhealthy animal products and just get yourself cleaned out and cleared out. And then you can slowly introduce things back in and see how things work for your body. But, basically it sounds like we've talked about a lot of things you can't eat, but there are so many things you can eat. I mean, you and I, Caitlin, we're constantly posting pictures of all these amazing stir fries, and we make like a cauliflower rice, and we do tortillas from nuts and seeds and things like psyllium husk, which is a plant fiber. And we make cookies out of almond flour and almond butter and all kinds of yummy things. And we use a little bit of stevia and something called Lecanto, monk fruit, or erythritol, which is like a sugar substitute that does not spike the blood sugar and it does not get you out of ketosis.
Mm-hmm. And we're using whole fat sources like avocado and olives, which have so many minerals in them. They actually have minerals in them that can boost our serotonin. So they're mood boosting foods. And things like coconut, we use a lot of coconut based things in our recipes, and the nut butters and the tahinis and all the just really healthy, satisfying fats.
Yeah, so fats are really important. And so we always lead with the fats. And like you were saying, Caitlin, avocados are a big part of the diet. And so if you're someone that's been eating bananas, if you're eating avocados instead, you're going to be getting all your potassium and your nutrient needs from all these avocados. And most people do super well on avocados. In fact, we even make ice cream and use avocado as our base versus dairy. And you would be blown away once you put enough chocolate powder in there and enough stevia and a little bit of vanilla and salt. You're going to be amazed how much it tastes like a creamy chocolate ice cream. And no one would ever know that it's avocado. And we also use it as a base for puddings and as a base in, of course, we do things like guacamole, but other, like you just recently made up this avocado pesto, Caitlin, that all of our students were just, thrilled to eat, and they loved it. So avocado is one. And then coconut we use in so many different ways, like shredded coconut, coconut butter, coconut oil, coconut flour. I just made them tortillas today and put coconut flour in that. And, that's coconut alone we could talk about forever because it's a super beneficial food. It's high in lauric acid, which is what mother's milk has. It's really good for antifungal, antiviral, antimicrobial. It can help clean your skin. Like you can put it on your skin to get rid of eczema or different conditions. You can use it to clean your teeth, like on and on. There's so many amazing things about coconut. Yeah. We put it in our coffee too.
Definitely. And cacao or chocolate is another really big one that we love to use. And it's also so mineral rich. It has so much magnesium in it, which is really important on a ketogenic diet. And we have lots of recipes that you can make your own or just get the 100% dark chocolate. And it's also just a really great way to add in that fat.
Yeah, and I want to talk about olives a little bit. I belong to an olive club now, and I get fresh pressed olives from olive oils from California. And I did a little bit of research and studying because quite a few podcasters and bloggers are talking about, the benefits of olive oil. And in fact, Dr. Mercola, who's very well respected, and he wrote a book called Fat for Fuel, just cannot say enough amazing good things about how beneficial olive oil is for the brain. And did you know that the Italians, the ones that are, they talk about the Mediterranean diet, and then they've kind of gone deeper and like, what is it really? And they're finding that the Italians that are really doing well eat, they always have that really soft skin too. They eat they have like a liter of I think it's either a liter or 4 liters of olive oil a week, some crazy amount, which would be like a gallon of olive oil a week. So I think I'm keeping it to kind of like 4 cups of olive oil a week. But that means you can just go crazy with it. Pour it in your coffee, pour it in your skillet, pour it on your salads, just bathe in it. Olive oil is amazing.
Yes, I totally agree. I loved hearing that information on olive oil because I think I definitely was not eating enough of it, and now I'm just very generous with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And like if you do, like one of our recipes is roasted Brussels sprouts, and we do roasted veggies, which are like things that aren't potatoes, but they're delicious. Like, the zucchinis and above ground vegetables that are just yummy, yummy, yummy. We love cauliflower. We love broccoli, and we'll mix them all together with tons of olive oil and some salt and our favorite seasonings. And you roast those up and they become almost like a potato chip. They're so freaking delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Who would feel deprived? I mean, you feel like you're getting the best of all worlds. You look good, you feel good, you get to taste good foods, and you're better in your relationship. You're better in your marriage, in your friendships, because you're not moody anymore. You're just eating healthy, yummy, delicious foods. And there's a little bit of a learning curve, and that's why we are here in our courses to kind of send you videos and teach you and give you recipes on how to make this stuff. But once, like we see with our love campers, once they've done 1 or 2 courses with us, 1 or 2 months with us, before the year's up, they're pros. They're just making their own stuff. They're coming up with creativity. It's like playing guitar. Practice, 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 and suddenly you're just a pro. And you're like, how did I ever not live without this food? Or how did I ever not do it?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. It just takes practice, and it's taken us years to get here too. And I think a big takeaway for me is that we can have all the fun foods. We can have the pizzas and the breads and all of that stuff. And it doesn't have to be a bunch of processed stuff, because even the keto foods that are coming out, it always looks super exciting. I'm like, oh yes, a new tortilla or a new this or a new that. And then I look at the ingredients and it's full of processed stuff. So it's not just about having the alternative foods, but having those alternative foods that are actually going to help you in the long run, make you feel good, help your digestive system, help your brain, all those other benefits that we're trying to receive.
Yes. And like now, when I heard you say pizza, Caitlin, I immediately thought people are thinking, we can have pizza? Yes. We make this amazing cauliflower crust pizza. And it's not just your typical cauliflower and eggs, because we don't use eggs. We have a lot of other things which are high in omega-3s, which, as we know, are great brain food. So we really teach you not just here's the diet so you don't get fat, but here's a diet that's going to feed your brain for the rest of your life. And when you're 80, you're still going to be eating these foods and feeling amazing and sharing it with your family. And your family's like, wow, I want more of that. My friends at work are asking for that, on and on. We're just so excited. And we've been doing this a long time, and I'm still excited. I still text Caitlin on a regular basis. Look what I just made. Look what I discovered. And I'm still doing my research, and I know you are too, Caitlin, which is why we also think people love to follow us, because we don't just get stagnant with the information. You're not just going to hear us keep spewing the same stuff over and over. We're always coming up with new ideas. We listen to stuff about nootropics, which are things that feed your brain and actually rewire your brain to think better. We study things like what's called biohacking, which is cold plunging and saunas and meditation and all the lifestyle hacks. And they don't have to be expensive, because I know a lot of stuff out there costs a lot of money. This is just basic everyday stuff anybody can do. And we've done it, and we just want to share it with you. And I can't even tell you, sitting here today at age 54, that I ever thought I would feel this good, because in my 30s, when I discovered I had Candida, I thought my life was over. And I'm like, why did I get stuck with this? And why am I having to, deal with all this stuff, and just the bloating and the overweight and the just moodiness and the sugar drops, and like that I could heal myself. And so it becomes your passion, and then you can turn it into a career, which is another thing that we do at Pure Joy Academy. Is we teach people how to become chefs and then teach it to other people and turn it into a career. So we really believe in this strongly. And I think both you and me believe this, Kate, that when people start changing their diet and eating this way and feeling better, that the world becomes a better place, because you're just better in the world. And then you're actually in service and helping more people by just sharing what you're doing. Even if it's just on Facebook, you're just sharing, hey, I did this. And then other people start waking up to it.
Definitely. And I think a big mission for us is giving this information to all the women out there and being the advocates for all of us to take our health back into our own hands and not to be dogmatic about diet. I'm so excited that we can now bridge all of the worlds. Like we have the biohacking, we have the plant-based, we have the keto, we have the sustainable animal products. It's not excluding any one person, it's adding it all in together. And that's why a lot of our programs and a lot of the videos that we talk on, it's not always just about the food. And in our Love Camp specifically, we do a lot of practices around meditation and really dive deep into the emotional aspect of food and all the other things that could be causing us to keep weight on or to feel sluggish or to not sleep well or to have brain fog, like really just adding in all of the things that can help us live a better life.
Yeah. And I would love for, people watching this video or listening to this as a podcast to just have some takeaways because, we are talking about our Love Camp, but we want you to be empowered today. And we want to feel like we're offering you something and giving you something. So let's just talk a little bit about some things you can start doing right now. The first one, because you just mentioned it, Catelyn, is meditation. If you can just take a moment, maybe pause this video or do it right when it's done, and just close your eyes and put your feet on the ground and just take 5 deep breaths through your nose. That's it. You've meditated. You were present with yourself for 5 breaths. And that's all meditation is. People think it's this scary, crazy woo-woo where you have to sit cross-legged and om. You don't. Like people that are Christian, that pray, that's a form of meditation. You're just focusing in on one thing, which is the divine, which is your connection to source, which is your whole being and your reason for being on the planet. Like just connect in with yourself and just say, hello, how am I today? There, you meditated. That's it. It can be so easy. And we just kind of teach you how to build on that, but it doesn't have to be scary and it doesn't have to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing I would do. One takeaway today is to start doing 5 deep breaths. Put a little sticker on your ceiling above your bed or in your bathroom mirror, something that says breathe deep. That's it. You meditated.
Right. And I think on that, starting a gratitude practice, I know that can shift a lot of our thoughts around our diet and our body and all the other things. Is just waking up, maybe doing those 5 deep breaths or doing your meditation and then writing down 5 things that you're grateful for. And it may seem so simple, but I swear after a couple of days of doing that, your whole perspective changes. And it's like a ripple effect. Like you add in the meditation, then you add in a gratitude practice, and then all of a sudden you want to cut out gluten and start a plant-based keto diet. Like you just want to start doing better for yourself. And it's like this amazing thing that makes you want to keep going up and up and up.
And you don't even know how it happened. How did I get here? Wow, I went from meditating and being grateful to suddenly losing 10 pounds and like not wanting to eat junk anymore. Well, my way I do my gratitude jar is I do a gratitude jar. I have a big glass, beautiful vase that's clear on my kitchen counter and these little bright pink sticky pads with a Sharpie. And every morning it says gratitude on the jar. And every morning I come down and I write 3 things I'm grateful for and I stick it in the jar. And then when my sister visits or my friends visit, I have them do a gratitude. So it becomes kind of a fun little game. And then you fill the whole jar up. So it's almost like adding marbles to your jar, but you're adding gratitudes to your jar. And then you can look back in a year and go, oh my gosh, wow, like I remember that thing that I did that I was grateful for.
Yeah.
So that's the second one. And these don't even have anything to do with eating. Just be grateful and meditate. The other one is getting yourself outside. Now we could say to exercise, which is definitely important, but just getting outside. If it's summertime, take your shoes off, get your feet on the grass, and just feel what it's like to feel the earth under your feet. And that's a really, it sounds so simple and trite, but it's actually a way of diffusing. Think of it as discharging all the EMFs that are in your house. Every time you touch your computer or touch your phone, you're getting like an electric charge in your body. And when you go out under the grass or somewhere with dirt and you put your bare feet on it, or even if you don't want to take your shoes off, put your hands, do a downward dog, or lay your head on the grass or something. It's like you're just going, here, earth, I'm giving this back to you. Here's all this junk I don't need. And it could even be you're stressed out because you had an argument. Just go find some dirt. Put your hands in your garden or play with your houseplants. Just massage your houseplants. Do something fun. They'll love it.
I love that. And I think too, that's a really great one if you have a craving or if you're like, oh, I just want to eat all the cake in the fridge, or like this charge comes up, maybe an emotional eating trigger, and it's a great one to just get outside. We tell our love campers this all the time. The quickest way to just like dissipate a sugar craving is just to get out of your environment and get your feet on the ground. And with that, if you can, get some sunlight. And sunlight is so important it's actually the number one way to boost your serotonin. So if there's any way that you can get sunlight, and that means on your skin, not going out with a hat on and long sleeves and sunscreen on your face, like really just letting that sun absorb into your skin. And I'm not talking about sunbathing for hours on end. It's literally like 10 to 15 minutes of just full sun exposure. And that is like a mood uplift times 10. And it actually regulates our hunger too. So serotonin is a regulator for our appetite. So that's another really great tip.
And you get like a dopamine hit from it too. Like I wake up in the morning and I usually wake up right as the sun's coming up, and I sleep with my curtains that are blackout, but I'll pull them open, pull the blinds, and watch the sun kind of come up in my neighborhood. I can kind of see, and I just feel like I sit actually on my bed Indian style and like look out and maybe do my meditation there, because it's like, oh, the joy of the new day. And it really resets your clock if you've been traveling, or it resets your clock if you just haven't been sleeping well. Maybe, when you're new in ketosis, you're trying to find the balance. So watching that sun come up and or go down, and even if just one day a week you can commit to setting your alarm for whatever time sunrise is and getting out there and seeing it, and then you can go back to bed if you want to. But just one day a week, if you could get out and watch the sunrise, what a gift you'd be giving yourself. So, so watching the sun and being out in the sun is so important. And then the other one is starting to just put, like, let's just talk about a couple foods. Why don't you just today decide to substitute white rice for cauliflower rice? And that's like, you could put a link to that, Caitlin, just how to do a yummy cauliflower rice. And I swear people will not know the difference. We cook it, we make the cauliflower, and you can buy that at Trader Joe's or different places now, but the rice, cauliflower, it's already been made into rice, and all you do is saute it with some yummy seasonings, and you've got rice. Yeah, I mean, and it can be just that easy. And even switching from tortillas to using lettuce leaves. I know that doesn't sound as exciting, but I love to eat stuff in lettuce leaves. It's super good. Like you buy the big romaine or the butter lettuce, and it's absolutely delicious.
For sure. And I would say, along with substituting some ingredients, add in a plant-based keto recipe. And I'm going to link again to a couple of ours you can start with and try for free, and just make those a couple times a week. Get used to that. Replace one of your regular meals with one of these meals. And I think that is such a great way to start, just like easing in, seeing how you like it. After one meal, you'll probably want to try another. And the more you practice them, the more you'll get even better at them.
And then one last thing I would like to just say as a takeaway or something that you can do right away is start having some keto coffee, which we'll give you the recipe for as well. And that's just blending. We don't put butter on our coffee because we do a plant-based course, but we put things like MCT oil, and I put in olive oil, like a teaspoon of olive oil in my coffee, and I blend that with medicinal mushrooms. And something about blending medicinal mushrooms into your morning coffee with some MCT oil, which is just a form of coconut oil that feeds your brain. I'm not hungry. I don't eat most days till 1 or 2 o'clock. I don't eat breakfast, and I'm not because I'm starving myself. I'm literally going on ketones in the morning, and my body's like, I don't need food. And what am I doing during that time? I'm working out. I'm on my computer getting work done. The first half of my day is my most productive part of my day, and I get so much done before that first meal. And as we know, when we eat, people that eat a normal diet after lunch, what do? You want to take a nap. You don't always have time for a nap. So when you do eat your first meal, you just eat this amazing, yummy ketogenic meal, and you don't have to eat huge amounts because it's so nutrient dense, our food is, that you can eat, just a small bowl of something and feel really satisfied. And it will change your whole relationship with food, because I buy less food. Like when I go to farmer's market and buy stuff, it lasts. I'm like, I still have that. And I'm just eating 2 meals a day, sometimes 1 meal a day, but I've worked my way up to that. But I'm just saying, there's hope in sight if you're someone who feels like, can I ever win? Can I ever change this? Yes, you can. And we're here to support you. And I'm here to tell you, as someone who's a past eating disorder person, food binger, I completely changed myself, and I never thought I could. And you can also be someone who's been overweight your whole life and think, there's no way I'm ever going to fit into size whatever jeans. And guess what? One day you're going to be like, I can't believe it. We have people on our courses that have been doing raw foods. They've been following me for years, different programs, and they start trying this and they're like, wow, this is really making a difference. A 60-year-old woman who started running again, who had been able to run in years, and she felt great doing it. And we didn't even know that was going to happen. It was because of the keto diet. We're like, wow, who knew?
Mm-hmm.
Go and checking your cholesterol levels, and suddenly they're all super good, your blood pressure, your heart, everything. And you're just healing your body. And, you know, I hate to tell you this, but if you're a vegan and you're listening and you're still eating vegan donuts and pastries because they're vegan, or eating Oreo cookies, or even eating a lot of grains and beans because they're vegan, you're going to only get so far. And then your brain is you're going to get brain foggy. You might, you know, feel a little better than you did with the old diet, but you need to really do something serious and to stop feeding yourself sugar. It's the best gift that you can give yourself.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Thank you for that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's wrap this up. I'm so glad you guys watched this all the way through to the end. And we really want to share some stuff with you. So like we said, just click below on the links, but also give us a comment. Say what you liked about it. Say if you have any questions, and we can get back to you on that. And if you're listening to this as a podcast, you can just email us at podcast@purejoyplanet.com, and we can do some Q&A on the next podcast that we do. Me and Caitlin love doing these little talks together. We seem to do these a lot when we do our retreats, but we haven't done them as much on Facebook or on YouTube. So thanks for watching this through, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Bye.